promoting a solid culture of cybersecurity in a business. But how would we go about that? So, we're talking maybe as Fortinet now. So
Yeah.
we want to sell technology, we want to do managed service, of course we do, but we also want to make sure we're keeping our customers safe, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. And it starts with in the culture of education,
Yeah.
right? So it's, our techniques that we're using are centered around human psychology. So Kev, don't touch wet paint, right? Kev's going to touch wet paint.
Yeah, of course.
Don't do X, don't do Y. And I have, sorry, that's why the paint's all over the fingers. But the point is, you're trying to create a culture of awareness. So if people are using Dropbox, it's like, well, I wasn't aware that if I'm using Dropbox, I could also be using WeTransfer, and I could also be using the Google ecosystem. And if somebody compromises my username and password for my Gmail account, and suddenly they've got access to my whole Google account, it gets even worse than that, John. I'll tell you why. Because the password that you use to log on to your Gmail account, if that's compromised, and we now know about all the applications you use from your browser history, it's really easy to pick those.
Yeah, because most people just change it a little bit.
They change it a little bit. Then what's going to happen in your own personal life? So what we try and do is make it personable. We try and get it into elements where we can break the learning down into 6 to 8 minute modules. Because from a human psychology point of view, like most people probably watching this podcast, you turn off by about 6 minutes. Okay. So what you've got to do when you're trying to learn things is put things into digestible chunks that are relatable, and then make people advocates of cybersecurity. So you sort of say, well, yeah, I do that. I do use the same password everywhere. And in fact, if they hack my Gmail account, all my password resets to my Gmail account. Okay. Oh, it's okay because I've got multi-factor authentication, which happens to be a text. That's incredibly easy to bypass multi-factor authentication. I mean, we've seen cases where we've been defending before where texts have had a bypass. I haven't got my phone. Give me a different method. Email. Send me the code to my email. Well, if I've compromised your email, I've now got your 2-factor.
Yeah. Okay.
I think the train bit is a good bit there, because the human element is, we've talked a lot about how there's the technology way of businesses trying to be hacked, and then the visibility needing to see that. But actually it is the human element as well, being phishing attacks and all this, which everyone's familiar with. But I think doing that kind of ongoing training, reminding people all the time. Every business will have their, CBTs that everybody has to do, and they dread the anniversary of when they've got to plow through them all and this. But actually the security one is one that should be ongoing in bite-sized pieces.
And it's proactive as well, isn't it? So in other words, we actually do, you can get phishing attacks that dummy, you can see who's clicked on everything. And also the platforms like gamify it. So we have one internally at Fortinet. Kevin's always top of the cybersecurity superstar list.
I don't
which really
do the work,
annoys
I
me.
just hack.
But that goes right. I'm going to do all my modules, and I'm going to be a SWAT on cybersecurity. Never happens, but that you have to look at it. So gamifying it as well, but also not just doing the training, actually pushing out dummy attacks. And if you fall for one, sure as hell won't do it again.
Well, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because if you think about what you're trying to do, is you're trying to promote awareness. You're trying to change behavior. Ultimately, what we're doing is trying to change behavior to make people think. Like we say when we do our training, if the only thing you take away is stop and think, then that's really, really important.